Dear students, today's topic of my lecture, magnetic effect of current, part 2. In this lecture, you have to study, or today I will cover 7 points. First one is force on a moving charge in a magnetic field. Second one is Fleming's left-hand rule. Third one is force on a moving charge in uniform electric and magnetic field. Then Ampere circuital law. After that, magnetic field at a point due to infinitely long current carrying straight conductor. This is the application of Ampere circuital law. Another application is magnetic field due to straight solenoid. And the next one is magnetic field due to toroidal solenoid. That is toroid. First topic is force on a moving charge in a magnetic field. So here we consider a charge q is moving with velocity v, which makes an angle theta with applied magnetic field. Then it will experience a force F. Due to the motion of the charge in magnetic field, a magnetic field is developed because of the motion of the charge, and that interact with the applied magnetic field. That's why the moving charge will experience a force. And here you see that in the diagram, q is the charge moving with velocity v, makes an angle theta with magnetic field, and v sine theta is the vertical component of velocity, and a force experienced by the charge q is F. Now, as the charge moves with velocity v in magnetic field, then due to magnetic interaction between the magnetic field produced due to the motion of charge and applied magnetic field, then the moving charge will experience a force that depends on the following factors. And these factors are F directly proportional to Q, that is, force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the charge, and force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the magnetic field, and the force is directly proportional to the vertical component of velocity, that is v sine theta. When we combine all these three, then we get F directly proportional to q v sine theta b. Now we remove this proportionality sign with a constant and rearrange it. Then finally we get F equal to K QVB sine theta, where K is constant of proportionality and its value in all units is 1. Then when you substitute the value of the K equal to 1 in this equation, then the equation becomes F equal to QVB sine theta. And if you want to write this force in the vector form, in magnitude form, it is F equal to QVB sine theta, and in vector form when you write, then you will get F vector equal to Q within bracket V vector cross B vector. It is a cross product of V vector and B vector. And the direction of magnetic force on a moving charge is perpendicular to the plane containing V vector and B vector, and it is given by the Fleming's left hand rule. So you understand what is the Fleming's left hand rule. You see that here the Fleming's left hand rule, if we stretch the first finger, central finger and thumb of the left hand, all these three are mutually perpendicular. First finger, central finger and thumb. Then first finger represents the magnetic field, and central finger that represents the direction of motion of charge, that is current, and thumb will represent the direction of force. So this is called Fleming's left hand rule, which is mentioned here. You can see here. Now we take some special cases, and these special cases are: first one, if theta equal to 0 or 180 degree, means the charged particle is moving parallel or anti-parallel to the direction of magnetic field. In that condition, you apply the same formula which you learned just now, F equal to QVB sine theta, and in place of theta, you substitute the value 0 degree or 180 degree. Then the expression becomes F equal to QVB sine 0 degree or 180. Sine 0 or 180 degree is 0. So what you will get? You will get force F equal to 0. It means if the charge moves parallel or anti-parallel to the direction of magnetic field, then it will not experience any force. That is F equal to 0. Similarly, we take another case. If charge is at rest, that is V equal to 0, then the same formula you apply, F equal to QVB sine theta. In place of V, you put the value 0. Then finally what you will get, F equal to 0. So when the charge is at rest in a magnetic field, then it will not experience any force. That is F equal to 0. And the third case, if theta equal to 90 degree, means the charge is moving perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. So in that condition, the same formula you apply, F equal to QBV sine theta, but in place of theta you substitute 90 degree, then sine 90 degree is 1, so you will get F equal to QVB, which is the maximum force experienced by charged particle. So we can say that if the charge moves perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, then it will not experience, then it will experience maximum force. So these are the three cases. Now some examples or the numericals, whatever you learn, that you have to implement here. The first question, an alpha particle is moving with velocity 2 into 10 raised power 5 meter per second at right angle to the direction of magnetic field of magnitude 0.2 Tesla. Then find the force experienced by alpha particle. So first you understand the language of the question, then you write down what is given in the question. Velocity is given, angle theta is 90 degrees given, magnitude of magnetic field is given 0.2 Tesla. Then you apply the formula which you learn, F equal to QVB sine theta, and substitute the value. Charge on alpha particle is twice of the charge of proton. So here you substitute the value of magnetic field 0.2 Tesla, velocity 2 into 10 is power 5, magnetic field already you substitute. Now the charge on alpha particle 3.2 into 10 is power minus 19, and theta is 90 degrees, so sine 90 degrees. Sine 90 degrees is 1. So therefore finally you will get F equal to 0.2 into 2 into 10 is power 5 into 3.2 into 10 is power minus 19 multiplied by 1. Then after calculation you will get F equal to 12.8 into 10 is power minus 15 Newton. So this much of the force experienced by alpha particle. Now second question we take, which one of the following will experience maximum force when projected with same velocity perpendicular to the magnetic field? First particle alpha, second one is beta. So you see that in question you have to find out which one will experience, whether alpha particle or beta particle, maximum force. Both are moving with same velocity perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. So velocity is the same Angle theta is 90 degree. Magnetic field is also same. But the charge on alpha particle is twice of the charge of beta particle. So that's why when you apply the formula F equal to QVB sine theta. So in place of sine theta you write sine 90 degree. So F equal to QVB sine 90 degree. Sine 90 degree is 1. So that's why F equal to QVB. Now F alpha 2QVB. F beta QVB. So you divide these, then F alpha upon F beta equal to 2QVB upon QVB. So here you see that this Q get cancelled, V get cancelled, B get cancelled. So QVB get cancelled. Only the left 2. Now you rearrange it, then F alpha equal to twice F beta. It means alpha particle will experience 2 times of the force on beta particle. So that's why we say that alpha particle will experience maximum force. So these are the two problems which we have solved, whatever we learn and that we apply here. Now the next topic is force on a moving charge in uniform electric and magnetic field. It is also known as magnetic Lorentz force. Its meaning is that we have to find out the force on a moving charge under the combined effect of electric and magnetic field. So one by one we calculate. First we calculate the force on the charge Q in an electric field that we have already studied. That is Fe equal to QE in vector form. Fe vector equal to QE vector. Mark this equation number 1. Similarly, find out force experienced by charge Q moving with velocity V in a magnetic field. That just you have learned. F vector equal to, mention it is Fm vector so that we can differentiate it with force acting onto the charge particle in electric field. So Fm vector equal to Q within bracket V vector cross B vector. This is the force which is experienced by the charge Q moving with velocity V in a magnetic field. Mark this equation number 2. Now we calculate total force experienced by electric charge under the combined effect of electric and magnetic field. So total force is F vector equal to F E vector plus F M vector. Mark this equation 3. Now substitute the value of F E vector and F M vector from equation 1 and 2 in equation number 3. So finally you get F vector equal to Q E vector plus Q within bracket V vector cross B vector. So this is known as magnetic Lorentz force or the force experienced by moving charge under the combined effect of electric and magnetic field. Now Ampere's circuital law, another topic. So according to this law, the line integral of magnetic field for a closed path in vacuum is equal to mu naught times the total current or the net current I threading through the area bounded by the path. This is Ampere's circuital law. Mathematically what we write, closed integral B vector dot dl vector, its meaning is that line integral of magnetic field for a closed path. So mathematically what we have to write, closed integral B vector dot dl vector equal to mu naught I. Now its applications. So first application is magnetic field at a point due to infinitely long current carrying straight conductor. Now you see that the diagram is given here. Here we are getting an infinitely long current carrying straight conductor. If we hold it in our right hand, then thumb will represent the direction of the current and curl of the finger towards the nail that represents the direction of magnetic field lines, right? So here the magnetic field lines are in anti-clockwise direction because the current is upward. So these magnetic field lines we consider as a closed loop. Then the current I is threading this closed loop. We say that the one of the closed loop we have taken and its radius is small r. You can see here in the diagram, third diagram. And this closed loop having the radius small r, and this is the in anti-clockwise direction, that is magnetic field lines. And when we draw a tangent over to the magnetic field lines which gives the direction of magnetic field, and this dl vector is a small length element. So b vector and dl vector both are in the same direction, so angle between them is 0. Our aim is to find out the magnetic field at point P. So apply the Ampere circuital law. So according to the Ampere circuital law, close integral B dot dl equal to mu naught I. So angle between B vector and dl vector is 0. So that's why what you will get, close integral B dot dl cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. So you take B outside and integral dl. Integral dl is the length of the circular loop, that is 2 pi r. Then you substitute this value here. Then what you will get, b 2 pi r equal to mu naught I. Then from here b equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi r. This is the magnetic field at point P due to infinitely long current carrying straight conductor. Just for making the calculation easy, what we do, we multiply numerator as well as denominator by 2. Then final the equation becomes mu naught upon 4 pi 2I upon r. So we already know the value of the mu naught upon 4 pi, that is 10 to the power minus 7. So by using this formula, the calculation becomes easy for concept based questions and numericals. Now we have another topic, that is clock rule, which is very important. According to this rule, if the current around any face of circular current loop is in anti-clockwise direction, you see here the diagram, first diagram, A diagram. Here the current is in the loop in anti-clockwise direction, then that face has the north polarity. So you see that here it is a N. Now when you draw this current loop on copy and draw the current also in anti-clockwise direction and make N over to it, and when you reverse the pace and you see onto the other side of the pace, then this direction of the current appears in clockwise and this N appears as S. So that indicates that if the current is flowing in anti-clockwise direction in the current carrying loop, then that phase behaves as a north polarity. If, see the second diagram, if the current is flowing in current carrying loop in clockwise direction, then that phase behaves as a south polarity or having the south polarity. So that you can see by drawing on the copy and then reverse the paper, then you see that yes, the one current carrying circular loop having both polarity, one side it is north, other side is south. So you remember it, if the current is flowing clockwise, then that face has the south polarity. If the current is flowing anti-clockwise, then that face has the north polarity. Now, second application of Ampere circuital law, magnetic field at the center of a current carrying straight solenoid. So first you understand what is solenoid. Solenoid basically a long insulated copper wire in the form of helix whose length is very large as comparison to its diameter. You can see here the diagram. The length of the solenoid is large as comparison to its diameter, and this is known as helix form. In other words, we can say that a coil of many circular turns of insulated copper wire wrapped closely in the shape of a cylinder and whose diameter is less than of its length is called solenoid. And when we connect the solenoid to the battery, then the current starts flowing. So when current starts flowing, then a magnetic field is developed, and magnetic field is there, and the magnetic field lines are there. So you can see here by the right hand thumb rule, the direction of the magnetic field lines, and thumb will represent the direction of current. So you can see in the second diagram, this is a solenoid connected to a battery along with key. When key K is closed, then a current starts flowing, and you see that here the current is flowing clockwise. So this phase is south pole. So this phase has the south polarity. Now similarly opposite to this, that is north polarity. So we can say that this phase is north pole and this one is south pole of a solenoid. Then the magnetic field line they starts moving from north pole to south pole outside and inside from south to north. So this is the pattern of magnetic field lines in a solenoid. Now we have to find out magnetic field inside the current carrying solenoid by using Ampere circuital law. So now you see here, this is a solenoid carrying the current I. Then current I is entering to the solenoid at one end and leave at the other end. So that's why you see that here the cross encircle magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of solenoid acting inward here and here outward. And these circles they are representing the magnetic field lines. Now for finding the magnetic field inside the solenoid, we consider a rectangular loop, say ABCD, known as Amperian loop, having the length L. You can see here the two diagrams. Here in this diagram, you see that length is L and the magnetic field is parallel to the length. So length and magnetic field both are in the same direction. So angle between them is 0 for length AB. For length BC, it is perpendicular. CD parallel, DA perpendicular. But outside the solenoid, magnetic field is 0. So keeping these points in the mind, apply the Ampere circuital law. That is close integral B vector dot dl vector equal to mu naught I. That is equation 1. Now first we calculate close integral B vector dot dl. So we rewrite it like that. For AB, close integral B vector dot dl plus BC, close integral B vector dot dl. Now for CD, close integral CD B vector dot dl. Now for DA, close integral DA B dot dl. Now you see that already I explained magnetic field and length for AB both are in same direction. So angle between them is 0. But in case of the BC, it is 90 degree. In case of CD, 0. But here magnetic field is 0 because these points are outside the solenoid. Now DA, again angle is 90 degree. So apply this concept here. What you will get? For AB, angle is 0. So close integral B dl cos 0. Similarly for others, plus close integral B dl cos 90 for BC And for CD, magnetic field is 0. So that's why close integral 0 dl cos 0 plus for dA angle 90 degree, then close integral B dl cos 90. Cos 90 is 0. So that's why these factors are 0. Then only you will get close integral B dl cos 0. And cos 0 is 1. So what you will get? B close integral dl. And close integral dl is length of the Amperian loop, which is capital L. So write it here, BL, then mark this equation 2. Now this is the value of close integral B vector dot dl. Now if we say that small n be the number of turns per unit length of solenoid, that is small n equal to capital N upon L. Capital N is the total number of turns, L is the total length of the Amperian loop which you are taking. Then N equal to capital N equal to small n L. Then current which is passing through the solenoid passes through each number of turns. So that's why the equation 1 now we rewrite close integral B vector dot dl vector equal to mu naught n L I. Now substitute the value of close integral B vector dot dl from equation 2 in equation 3. Then what you will get? BL equal to mu naught NLI. So you see that here this L and this L get cancelled. So finally you will get B equal to mu naught Ni. So from here what we conclude, magnetic field inside the current carrying solenoid that depends on to the magnetic permeability. That is at present the solenoid which you have taken, that is air core solenoid. Inside the solenoid there is no medium. It is a free space, vacuum, or we can say that air. So that's why it is called air core solenoid. If there is a medium, then what happens? Then this equation gets changed, and here in place of mu naught, it comes mu naught mu r. Mu r is the relative magnetic permeability. Similarly, as you have studied in electrostatics, relative electrical permittivity. So similarly here we are saying relative magnetic permeability. So equation becomes B equal to mu naught mu r n I, right? So we take here one problem. The first one problem is an air core solenoid having n number of turns and length L is carrying a current I ampere. So sketch the pattern of magnetic lines of force in the solenoid. Just I explained you when I explained the what is solenoid, at that time pattern of magnetic field lines I explained you. So from there you can draw it. If an iron core is inserted in it, how its field get modified. That I just explained you, that if the medium in the solenoid gets changed, then its magnetic field gets increased by mu r times. That is B dash becomes mu r B, and B is mu naught Ni. And that how you can indicate in terms of the magnetic field lines, by making magnetic field lines very close. Closer the magnetic field lines, it represents the stronger magnetic field. Third point, write down the expression for magnetic field at the center of the solenoid along its axis. Just you have to write B equal to mu naught Ni. So you see here the answer of all three parts which I just explained you. Now the second problem, a solenoid of length 0.5 meter has a radius of 1 centimeter and it is made of 500 turns. It carries a current of 5 ampere. What is the magnitude of magnetic field inside the solenoid? So for solving the numerical and concept based problem, First, you understand the meaning of the language of the question. So here you see that the length of the solenoid is given 0.5 meter and radius is given 1 centimeter. This indicates that the length of the solenoid is very large as comparison to the radius, that is 0.01 meter. So here we have to apply the formula of solenoid, that is B equal to mu naught Ni, and total number of turns capital N is given, length is given, so small n can be calculated. Mu naught you already know that 4 pi into 10 is power minus 7. Current is given 5 ampere. Then we can find out the magnitude of the magnetic field by applying that formula. You see the solution. Small n, number of turns per unit length, 500 upon 0.5. So 1000 turns per meter. Then as I already explained you that the length is greater than the radius. That's why we have to apply the formula of long solenoid. So B equal to mu naught Ni. Substitute the value. Mu naught is 4 pi into 10 is power minus 7. N is 10 is power 3 into current 5. Solve it. 6.28 into 10 is power minus 3 Tesla. So this is the magnetic field inside the solenoid. So whatever you learn, that you have to apply. So here the two examples we have taken, and whatever the concept I explained regarding the solenoid, that we applied here. So next application, that is the last application of the Ampere circuital law, magnetic field due to toroidal solenoid or toroid. It is also a solenoid. Means long solenoid when you bend in the form of closed ring, that is called toroid or toroidal solenoid. So you see here in the diagram that we have taken a long solenoid and that bend in the form of the closed ring, that is called toroid or toroidal solenoid. Then you see here a current I is flowing through it. Then inside the toroid there is a magnetic field, but interior to the toroid magnetic field is 0. Exterior to the toroid magnetic field is 0. So you are getting only the magnetic field inside the toroid. That we have to calculate. So for that purpose we take this dotted blue line. It is an Amperian loop and also a magnetic field line. Then we draw a tangent over to it which gives the direction of magnetic field. Take a small length element dl vector. Both are in the same direction, so angle between them is 0. And this Amperian loop radius is small r. Then we apply Ampere circuital law, which is close integral b vector dot dl equal to mu naught I. Then first we calculate close integral b vector dot dl. Angle between b vector and dl vector is 0, so that's why b dl cos 0. So b you take outside, then b close integral dl, and close integral dl is length of Amperian loop which is taken in the form of circle, so it is 2 pi r. Then close integral b vector dot dl vector, that becomes b 2 pi r. Now if we say that small n be the number of turns per unit length of solenoid, then it becomes small n equal to capital N upon 2 pi r. Then capital N equal to small n 2 pi r. Then we rewrite equation 1, that becomes close integral b vector dot dl vector equal to mu naught n 2 pi r I, and substitute the value of close integral b vector dot dl vector. Then what you will get, b 2 pi r equal to mu naught n 2 pi r I. So this 2 pi r and 2 pi r get cancelled. You will get only b equal to mu naught n I. same result you are getting. Obviously, it is also a solenoid. The solenoid which you have taken, you just bend in the form of the closed ring. So that's why the magnetic field remains the same. But you note down here two important points. The magnetic field inside the toroid is independent of the radius of the toroid. It is because of the magnetic field is only confined to inside the toroid. That is interior to the toroid, magnetic field is 0. Exterior to the toroid, magnetic field is 0, which is shown in the diagram. At B point, magnetic field is 0. At Q point, magnetic field is 0. But at point P, which is inside the toroid, magnetic field is not 0. That is B equal to mu naught N I. So if you like my video, like it, subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you. Have a nice day.